Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the 2018 NFL Draft linebacker production highlights when it comes to data and videos and other sort of stuff like that. Now, linebacker production data is, I found to be very controversial. It's very controversial because people think that production at linebacker doesn't matter, even though the data says the opposite. I've done tons of videos on this. I've done tons of data, different modules and evidence. Like I don't know what else to say. But the bottom line is that production at linebacker matters when it comes to finding high quality players. Now, what this video is going to emphasize is it's going to look at all the linebackers who hit production marks indicative of a high quality linebacker in the 2017 season, the 2017 FBS season. There are definitely linebackers that are not on this list who probably hit high quality production marks last season, but didn't this season because of injury, because of their baby mama drama, whatever the reason was. It just didn't happen. So there's definitely some players that are like that I'm not going to get into. And I am going to be doing videos on individual linebackers as we get closer to the combine and the draft and everything else like that. And also requests, if you have any linebacker requests, like there's a linebacker that's not on this list, you can definitely go, hey, do a video on this guy or do a video on that guy. And I'll definitely do that if they're not on this list. But this is basically just to highlight all the linebackers in the 2017 season that hit high quality production marks. Now, what production marks am I talking about? I'm talking about solo tackle market share. Now, you might be going, all right, what's solo tackle market share? People have been making fun of me about this for a while, even though the data is pretty dang clear on it. Solo tackle data, or solo tackle market share, is you take a individual defensive statistic, in this case, solo tackles, and you divide it by the team total statistics. So if a linebacker had 50 solo tackles on a team that had 500 solo tackles, that linebacker would have 10% solo tackle market share. But what you do with that number is you take that number and then you compare it to every single linebacker performance since the 1996 NFL draft class when it comes to solo tackle data and linebackers. And when you do that, you start to see, okay, Ray Lewis performed like this, and Luke Kuechly performed like this, and Navarre Bowman, you just go down the list of all the great linebackers and you start to see a trend. You start to see a pattern of behavior on the field that great NFL linebackers, and I'm talking about pursuit linebackers, not edge rushers, but guys like Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, Luke Kuechly, those types of guys, great NFL linebackers, great ones, typically speaking, hit high-quality solo tackle market share data points consistently. This doesn't mean you may not hit one of these numbers and still end up being a starting linebacker. There's definitely a long list of linebackers, well, not that long, but a fairly decent amount of linebackers who don't hit the high-quality linebacker marks and end up being starting linebackers. But the goal shouldn't be to just get a starting linebacker. Like, you shouldn't just draft a guy in the first round to be a starting linebacker. You're drafting a guy in the first round at linebacker to be a high-quality linebacker. You're trying to draft the next Ray Lewis. You're trying to draft the next C.J. Mosley. You're trying to draft the next, whatever, Brian Urlacher, right? You're trying to draft those guys. Those are the guys you're trying to draft. And it's important that if you're going to draft a guy like that really, really high, that they share similar data traits. Now, all the players I'm going to highlight today, they may not end up being great NFL linebackers. So that's the other sort of important thing to kind of point out is that the data I'm giving you right now is not so much to be used to say, oh, this guy's going to be a great linebacker because he performed like this. There's other traits to being a great linebacker than just production. Things like athleticism, size, speed, intelligence, character. All those things factor into things. They factor into success. But production metrics also factor into success. Production metrics also give you an idea of a lot of different things. And here's the main thing about solo tackle, because some people go like, why does solo tackle matter in the context of of data. The reason it matters is because when you're talking about pursuit linebackers and guys that find the football, because that's basically what their job is. Their job is to find out where the football is going. I mean, there's lots of different jobs, but one of them is getting everybody lined up, getting the play calls done, but also where's the football going? What's the best way for me to get there and make the play? Make the solo tackle, get an interception, whatever it is. So linebackers that get high amounts of solo tackles are very good at finding the football and making plays on the football. They're being proactive. They're not being reactive. They're being proactive. That's what makes a great NFL linebacker. It's not to be reactive. It's to be proactive, which is a very kind of, there's a lot of people who kind of go, well, that's kind of contrary to defense, because defense, again, is a lot of times reacting, like you're reacting to stuff. But the only way that you play fast, so to speak, on film is if you actually are proactive, if you know what is happening before it happens and you make a play. And solo tackle data has shown to be a very good indicator of that ability, of being proactive, of being able to figure out what's going to happen before it happens, and that is why they make all those plays. There's definitely other factors to this, like I said, athleticism, size, personality, all that kind of stuff. But these are still big indicators or data traits that you need to have. If you are going to say that so-and-so linebacker is going to be the next Ray Lewis, is going to be the next Luke Kuechly, is going to be the next whatever, they better share the same data traits as those other players. Because all those other players, all those other special players had those data traits. And if you don't have them, why all of a sudden are you going to be just like them if you didn't have the same patterns as they did? So that's just the basic premise, basic idea around all this stuff. It doesn't mean that player is not going to end up being successful. It's just that player does not share the same sort of traits that made those other players special. Because let's not get it twisted. Great linebackers, great NFL linebackers are very, very rare. You're talking about 1% to 2% of all linebackers drafted end up being high-quality linebackers. 1% to 2%. That's not a lot. Not a lot of guys. So as much as you might go, well, he's good in this and he's good in that, it doesn't mean he's special. It doesn't mean he's special. So let's get into the guys on the list. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Also, if there are players in this that you don't see, I'm leaving a link in the description to the Excel sheet that has all of the players on that sheet. So every single linebacker performance and every single defensive performance, even when it comes to market share data, is on that Excel sheet. So if there's players that you don't see on here, if there's players that you're curious about, I would suggest you just go to that sheet first, and then it'll give you an idea of how well they performed and when it comes to market share, stuff like that. It's also a way of proving that this isn't just made up stuff. I didn't make this up. I spent a lot of time collecting all this data, getting it, and then ultimately publishing it so that you guys have a way to backtrack it, double check it, do whatever you guys want to do, and go from there. But this is basically the data right now. The guys who perform the best. So these are all the players that hit high quality NFL potential production marks. Roquan Smith is number 1. He's pretty much the highest guy on the list. And definitely a guy that in the draft community people are very familiar with, of course. Then we got Christian Sam from Arizona State, Leighton Vander Esch from Boise State, Joe Deanan from Kansas, Tony Lashley from Idaho, Brad Koenig from Miami, Ohio, Frank Gienda from San Jose State, Malik Jefferson from Texas, another guy that I think a lot of draft people are familiar with, Jake Floor from Air Force, Paris Bennett from Syracuse. I know he got invited to a couple bowl games, all-star game events, I mean. And then, of course, you got Josh Watson from Colorado State, Josie Jewell from Iowa, DeMarcus Gates from Ole Miss, Trayman Edmonds from Virginia Tech, Jelani Tavi from Hawaii, Logan Wilson from Wyoming, Jalen Miner from Cincinnati, Aziz Al-Sher Shari from Florida Atlantic. I probably said that wrong. I'm sorry. Tracy Walker from Louisiana Lafayette. Ray-Wan Marbley from Tulane. Micah Kaiser from Virginia. Dalton Harrington from New Mexico State. Trevor Morris from Rutgers. Al-Rashid Benton from West Virginia. Drew Greenlaw from Arkansas. Oluwaseun Oduwu or something. I'm sorry about that name as well, from Pittsburgh. Jade Kirby from Kansas State. Joe Giles Harris from Duke. Trent Tanking from Kansas State. And Tevin Cruz from UAB. So again, these are all the players who hit high quality linebacker marks when it comes to solo tackle market share. Feel free to check these guys out if you haven't already. Some of them probably are not really that amazing, but some of them might be amazing. And that's the big reason why I wanted to get this data out there, so that there's some more names on the list that you should probably check out to see if they are good or not. Because ultimately, film, character evaluation, combine, all that stuff has to be added to the evaluation in order to get the pick right. So with all that stuff out of the way, of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification button so that you are notified whenever a new video drops. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.